Yo, once again, it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kens TV, in the house like kitchen sinks. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment, definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Now, with no further ado, let's get into this afternoon's video, if you will. Had 4 or 5 people actually hit me up. Real Kens, we want to know your take on the situation that happened in Vegas, in which the inmate attacked the judge. Initially, when I got the messages, I didn't even know the first message. Actually, I didn't even know what had happened. I hadn't heard of it. So, I went back and I looked at it, and I was like, wow, this is something that I've never seen. Now, for you all that may not know exactly what I'm speaking of, it was a guy, and at the time, actually, he wasn't an inmate. He was appearing in court before the judge on a probation violation. Evidently, he had violated a lot of the terms, stipulations, what have you, of his probation. So the judge, it was like a revocation hearing. Revocation hearing is basically, the individual is presented in front of the judge, and the probation officer, she gets up and she tells, or the probation officer tells, basically why they're seeking to have this individual's probation revoked. So he was still a free man at that point. So he wasn't an inmate. So being that he was a free man, guess what? He wasn't cuffed. He didn't have shackles around his legs. And he had his regular clothes on. He walked in from the streets. So, the judge is talking. And actually, he was talking first. His probation officer spoke on why, the things that he did wrong and why they were seeking to have him remanded into custody to go serve out his prison time. Now, from what I understand, he wasn't facing any. I think his minimum was like 18 months, 19 months, and the maximum they could give him was 48 months. So 1.5 years to 4 years. This is in Vegas. I'm not sure how much good time they get in Vegas. I'm not sure how much of that sentence he actually would have had to serve. Every state differs, like in Kentucky. I'm in Kentucky. As long as your crime's not violent, you do 20% of your time, in some cases 15% of your time, and then you go back up for parole. Or you go up for parole. But by chance, if you don't make parole, a 48-month sentence, which is 4 years, you can be back home in 1.5 years, 2 years. You get in there and take a couple classes, and you can be back home in, 1.5 years, 2 years. I'm not sure what it is in Vegas, but nevertheless, they were seeking to have his probation revoked and him sent to prison. So after the probation officer spoke, he spoke and talked about why he should be given another opportunity, another chance to stay out, and, all the things that he had going for him, and kids, and, things of that nature. And the judge listened to him patiently. And after he was finished, the judge, she was looking at his criminal files, criminal history. That's the main thing that they look at. When you're dealing with criminal proceedings, if you will, you can say whatever you want to say. As I always say, a pair of lips will say anything. So you can say anything that you want to say. But at the end of the day, they're looking at your file. And the judge was like, you've had 2 or 3 prior felonies. I believe it was like his 3rd felony. You've had, violence as far as assaults and battery. And, you've done this, you've done that. We've given you chance after chance after chance. And we feel as though it's best for you to just go do your time. That's what the judge was saying. Before she could get the entire sentence out of her mouth, this guy took off running, dove over the judge's, just like desk, whatever you want to call it. Now, the thing about a judge is they sit high and they look low. So it's not as though she was sitting, 10 feet high. But it takes a heck of a jump, a heck of an athlete to be able to jump over the judge's desk to get to her. If y'all haven't seen this, you got to check the video out. The guy took off. It looked as though there was a trampoline right there. And it looked as though he had bounced off the trampoline and flew. It was like he was flying. Like, literally, this is how, I'm not even trying to be funny. It was like, and jumped over the judge's desk. When he jumped over the desk, he grabbed her hair, like in midair. Grabbed her by her hair. Pulled her down. He's trying to beat her up or whatever. The bailiff, the people that were sitting behind the desk, with the judge, they were all trying to get him off of her, but he had her by her hair. So I'm assuming that, when she was on the ground at that point, you couldn't see her. You could see fists flying and hands flying, but you couldn't see her because when he dove over her desk, as I mentioned, he grabbed her by the hair and pulled her to the ground. So he's hitting her. He ends up getting up on his feet. I would assume that he was kicking her. They was beating the hell out of him. He starts fighting them. It's one little nerd, when y'all see the video, dude in a black suit. I don't know who this guy was. He was scared to death for real. But once, a couple of deputies had the situation under control or whatever, all of a sudden you start seeing him. He's throwing hands. And then he starts. Oh, it's so funny, man. Y'all got to check it out. It's funny. As far as the dude in the black suit. The little nerd in the black suit, man. Y'all make sure y'all check that out. Hey, dude was throwing hands, though. I know he threw probably 15 punches. So they ended up getting the situation under control. And, they helped the judge up. She was kind of out of it. She was dazed. She was holding her head. And as I mentioned, she probably got kicked a few times, while she was down on the ground. And they got the situation under control. Took him back to the back. Probably beat the hell out of him some more, while he was cuffed. That's what they love to do. They tough. They tough when you cuffed. And, my take on it is, to answer your question, I look at it a few different ways. For one, I didn't like the fact that he put his hands on a woman. I don't care if you're a judge. I don't care if I never condone a man putting his hands on his woman or on a woman, especially in a sense, a violent sense like that. If you got to kind of grab your woman and kind of, like trying to calm her down, not violently, not hurting her or anything like that, that's different. But actually hitting your woman, choking your woman, punching your woman, headbutting your woman, grabbing her hair, no. I don't like the fact that he did that to a woman. Because that's ultimately, he was only facing up to 48 months. He wasn't going to do the entire 48 months. Most likely, anyway. But now he's put himself in a situation where they've added 6 or 7 additional felonies on his charges. So you beat up a judge. You beat up a judge. I can see this man getting probably 20 years for that. Again, I don't know the Vegas laws, but I do know the law. And it's all the same in the major scheme of things. And anytime you do something like that, they're going to make an example out of you. So you have people that's never been incarcerated. I don't understand why he was in the courtroom and he wasn't shackled, or he didn't have on cuffs. Again, he wasn't in custody. He was out on probation. He had a hearing, in which he had to appear before the judge, but he wasn't in custody. See, when you're in custody and you go before the judge, that will be very, very difficult to do for the simple fact, in Kentucky, they uncuff you. Actually, sometimes they don't uncuff you, now that I think about it. And you're going to have on leg shackles. Now, when you go to trial, you will probably be uncuffed as far as your hands. But you're going to have on shackles, so there's no way you could possibly do that. And this guy has to be super, super athletic to be able to dive and jump over that desk the way that he did. Like, he really, really has some things on his mind. He wasn't trying to get sent back to prison. And that's the thing people have to understand, not condoning his actions. But when you're before that judge has your entire life in their hands. They can decide to let you walk out of that courtroom. They can decide to send you up the river. They can decide, well, you know what? We're not going to give you all your time, but, give us 90 days. Come back in 90 days. Then we'll evaluate the situation then. It's all type of alternatives. If you have problems with drugs or alcohol or, here we're going to send you to a rehab. There's so many different things that a judge can do. And I'm imagining that this individual, he wasn't trying to go back to prison. I don't know anyone that is trying to go back to prison. But to do what he did, you're going back to prison. And you're going back for a long, long, long time. In prison, he'll be a hero. Oh, yeah, he'll be a stupid hero. But he'll be a hero in prison. Because he did what probably so many other people wanted to do, just never could actually do it. And he's lucky that that judge didn't get hurt, any worse than what she did. I think she was kind of just shocked and shook up a little bit. So now you done mess it up for a whole lot of other people that are coming into the courtroom, because I'd imagine there's going to be some significant changes made, as far as the probation, revocation hearings or what have you. It was just unnecessary. So that's my opinion on it. It was unnecessary. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely a hypocrite for saying this. If it had been a dude judge, if it had been a dude, hey, he got what he got. But still, it's the major scheme of things is not funny, because you just added on 20 years. 20 years. And it's going to be considered violent. See, violent charges are harder to get out of opposed to non-violent charges. Because, if you're in jail and you're doing something, selling some drugs, or, you're not a major drug dealer, you selling drugs or just whatever, you write some checks, or you stealing cars or whatever, none of that stuff is good. I'm not condoning any of it. But I'm just saying, they don't look at you as a major threat to society. But when you are robbing people, shooting people, assaulting people, stabbing people, it's kind of all the same things, but I'm sure you all get what I'm trying to say. They try to keep those individuals out of society as much as they possibly can. This guy attacked a judge. So I had some people, it's going to go federal. It's probably not going to go federal, because it was a state judge. It was a state court. So, now if he attacked a federal judge, it would be a federal, a federal case or what have you. But I can't believe that he did that. And like I said, if I've never edited a video. This is one video that I wanted to edit. But I wanted to get this out to you all, because I'm about to go in for my evening shift, and I would have to edit it tonight once I get off. And so I wanted to get this out, but if you haven't seen it, you got to go check it out. Vegas man attacks judge. I actually feel sorry for the judge, and I hope that she's okay, and I hope that she's not I hope that she's able to continue on, because she seemed like a decent judge. I mean, she was talking, and She allowed him to speak, and then, it seems as though she considered the things that he was saying. But she was like, Mr., I don't remember his name, we've given you chance after chance, and, based on your priors and based on this and that. And that's the thing that people have to understand. That's why I always talk about on my channel. I always speak about when you're in a position of power, don't allow that to go to your head. Because somebody will reach out and touch you. I'm not saying she deserved that. She definitely didn't deserve that, especially from another man. She's a woman. She's a female. That's a female. What Craig tell Debo? That's a female. So she definitely didn't deserve it. But when you're in a position like that, you're a correction officer, or, you feel as though you hold, actually you do. You hold a person's life essentially in your hands. The key to their freedom, because a lot of these correction officers, they make up bogus write-ups. And they'll hit you with a bogus write-up for the simple fact that they can. They may not like you. Whatever the case may be. So now when you go to the parole board, you got 2 or 3 write-ups and they're bogus. They're bogus write-ups. So you can't make it home to your family because this correction officer is playing games with you. They feel like they powerful. They feel like, man, you're not going to do anything. People's not going to be locked up forever. And in this particular case, you've seen what happened. Right there in the courtroom. Just imagine if he had seen her out in public somewhere and he wanted to get to her. See, there's no... it's not like Superman, Clark Kent is, he's the guy in the suit, and then he goes in the phone booth, and then now he's Superman. There's no, you see what I'm saying? Like, when you're a correction officer, when you're in a position of power, that's who you are. There is no, well, I'm just doing my job, and now I'm off now, so, no. If you're the nasty correction officer, while I was incarcerated, guess what? You're the nasty correction officer when I'm not incarcerated. I don't care nothing about you talking about you just doing your job. You stopped me from going home to my family. Or you tried to stop me from going home to my family. I'm just speaking, I'm not talking about me per se. I'm just, in general, this is how people feel. It's how people speak. So now I have you in a vulnerable spot. Because you may not even see me, but I see you. Yeah, you carry your guns. Everybody got guns. So they encourage the correction officers, encourage them to carry their guns, but everybody has guns. Again, I don't advocate any sort of violence, nothing of that nature. I just say watch how you treat people. That's all I'm saying. Just watch how you treat people. I've told the story before. I was door dashing for 4 years nearly. Knock on people's door, they open the door. Correction officers that when I was in the county jail or when I was locked up, in the not necessarily in the pen, but like at a work camp or somewhere like that, lo and behold, they answer the door. I look familiar. Some of them know who I am. Some of them, I look familiar to them, but now obviously I don't have any ill will. I'm not going to do anything to anybody. But just imagine if that one individual that still hasn't let it go, what you did to him, knocks on your door. Or if he just sees you out at the gas station. Or if he just sees you out in public anywhere. Stoplight. You don't even see him, but he sees you. Be mindful. Take heed, man. Take heed how you treat people. And again, I hate that this happened. Hope that judge is okay. Like I said, you don't put your hands on a woman like that for nothing. And that was a woman that you did that to. You could have really, really severely injured her. And I'd imagine that bailiff probably going to be fired if he's, reprimanded because you allowed this to happen on your watch. You are that judge's protection. And he was able to get to her. So yeah, you all jumped in at the end, or in the middle of it, but that was after he already had her to the ground by her hair. You know how, like, you see something, if you grab somebody's hair, how difficult it is for them to break free? Yeah, they're by hair. And he was trying to cause some severe damage. So those people jumping in, you all did your job. And you protected that woman, that judge, from getting totally stomped out, because he meant business. He definitely meant business, man. Hopefully you all like the video. Feel free to comment. Tell me what you think about it. Let me know if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Vegas man attacks judge. Something like that. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And be sure to hit that post notification so anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Real Kens, we out.